How you doing? This is your boy Official Sahar TV, and today we're watching Gad Saad talking about Islam and Palestine. Let's take a look.
I mean, Montreal is truly a multicultural city. Tons of Jamaicans and Haitian and Italians and Greeks and Vietnamese and Korean and right, and everybody gets along. Islam comes in, we start seeing a problem. Why? Because what is at the root of the tenets of Islam? Is it one that teaches that we should all get along, or is it one that says that we will all be united peacefully under the unifying flag of Allah? Oh, yeah, it's the latter one. Now, is Islam a proselytizing religion, or is it one that says, like in Judaism, why is it, by the way, that there are only 15 million Jews in the world? I mean, we really suck at increasing our club. Well, it's because if you tomorrow, Tom, decided that you wanted to convert to Judaism, canonically within the tenets of Judaism, everything will be done to try to dissuade you from converting, let alone the fact that the conversion process is a very long one, because the idea is that you have to be truly pure in soul in why you're converting. And so we're going to constantly test you to dissuade you from coming into the club as a costly signal of your true wish to want to belong. Now imagine if another
You're going to get denied by a rabbi 3 times to make sure you actually want to convert to this tribe.
religion says that my fundamental goal is to turn everyone who is not like me, and all you need to say is a single sentence publicly, and voila, you become part of that club.
The Shahada.
Therefore, you don't need to be a big marketing genius to say which one is going to attract more customers. Is it the one that doesn't allow for many conversions, or the one that proselytizes as its fundamental value? Well, Islam does that, right? And therefore, there's always going to be frictions once the two cultures clash with each other. That's why Samuel Huntington wrote a very famous article in, I think, 1993 on the clash of civilizations. He was talking about the Islamic versus non-Islamic world. Again, I don't need to be lectured by people about the fact that Islam has done wonderful. The Islamic architecture, there was a time when there was Islamic Renaissance where it's true that Europe was in the Dark Ages. And of course, I mean, people are people, humans are humans. There are smart and bad people in every faith and so on. But the codified tenets of Islam, do they allow, to use your terms, maximal human flourishing? Well, nothing could be clearer. And the answer is no, in that it doesn't grant you the dignity of individual freedom, right? And therefore, it's going to clash with a society that is built on individual freedoms and individual dignity. Now, again, today, when Islam in the United States is at 1.5%, 2%, you're not going to see it much. It's not going to matter. When it's going to be 10% and 12% and 15%, you're going to be sending me an email saying, ooh, I think I should have listened to you. By the way, to close the parenthesis,
It's going to turn America into Sharia America. Thought of it just now.
on that woman that I had sent her the clip, about 3 months ago, Tom, she sends me an email 14 years after that original exchange. And she goes, I don't know if you remember. Oh, I remember. You're in the parasitic mind. Although I didn't mention her name.
Right.
I didn't violate her identity, but she probably didn't read the parasitic mind, because she's saying, I don't know if you remember, we had a spicy exchange 14 years ago where, and well, now I've kind of come around to seeing it. Well, yeah, because now you live in Montreal and you're seeing the changes of the past 14 years. And probably your kids were beaten up at school because they were not Muslim. And so that's the regrettable part, which is we could solve this problem today with less bloodshed, or we'll solve it tomorrow with more bloodshed. People will wake up. The problem is that the autocorrection will not be peaceful.
Yeah, so it's this is an intertwined web that I'm just now beginning to think through. But one question that has to be asked is, to me, this is just how global movements work. And so we think we're at the end of history, but the reality is that we're not, and that people are conquered, colonized, just savaged throughout all of history. And if you look at migratory patterns, so You're looking at Montreal and saying, hey, I don't want to have a bunch of people that don't share my values. I have a feeling you'd feel that about any place that was going to want you to live under their values instead of just leaving you be. So can be Muslim, can be whatever.
Could be Martians.
Right.
The UK, the people in the UK currently are extremely upset at the fact that so many asylum seekers and refugees from Syria came into their borders, came into their country. And right now they're seeing the outcome of this unbelievable decision. Mosques everywhere. People who oppose the West everywhere. Homophobia everywhere. Incredible cases of grooming. The US will become exactly that if Islam grows in the United States. Canada is already seeing it. The UK is seeing it. France is seeing it. America's next. Australia is also starting to experience it as well.
So I don't want people to overly focus on Muslim, though that is the reality that we're talking about right now. But that is uncomfortable for you. But this is exactly, from my early read, and tell me if you think I'm getting something wrong, exactly how Israel ended up coming to be. Was like, hey, we want to get more and more Jews that have been scattered all over the world come in. Just first, it's about numbers. It's about getting people here slowly. And so how do you think about that when it's like, okay, at one point, for some people that you will forever be tied to, whether you agree with it or not, but Jews went and literally made a nation by slowly moving into that space. And now I see it playing out across Europe. I see it playing out in Canada. I am sure it's going to start playing out in the US. And I'm like, yeah, I get the game. Like, we, as Americans, we did the exact same thing to the Native Americans. We came in, we're like, this place looks nice. And so how do you think through that problem?
Look, Golda Meir, who was the prime minister of Israel, I think maybe the fourth from maybe 1969 to 73 or something around that. I might get the numbers wrong. She was the first female prime minister. Has a couple of quotes.
And the only.
That really capture the dilemma in that region. One thing she said is that if the Palestinians learn to love their children as much as they hate ours or something like that, then would have peace. Maybe I botched it a bit. And the second one is that if we put down our arms, there would be a genocide. If they put down their arms, there would be peace. It has nothing to do with piece of land. It has nothing to do with contested territories. Let me break it down for you. I recently discussed this on the Joe Rogan show, but it's worth repeating here for those of you who don't watch Joe Rogan. Islam has the concept, it's a duality concept. The world is divided into two. There is Dar al-Islam and Dar al-Harb.
Before he continues, and I know exactly what point he's going to make, I love the way Gad Saad speaks. Super peaceful, articulate, using the right words. If I have a role model that I'm following currently, it's him. I love the way he speaks. I love the way he delivers his message. I love it. It's amazing. So he's a role model. Just thought you should know. I don't know if you care, but still.
Dar al-Islam means the house of Islam. Dar al-Harb, Harb in Arabic means the house of war. So the entire world is broken up into either blue or red. House of Islam or house of war. What does that mean? Any land that Islam conquers and then loses is forevermore canonically under the house of Islam. Any land that has not yet ever been colonized and conquered by Islam is in the house of war. It is to be conquered. That's why the end result is that Islam is peaceful, because it seeks peace through the unification of the entire world under the unifying flag of Allah. Okay? Now, in the Middle East, every single society that had existed prior to Islam has been eradicated, right? In Egypt, Coptic Christians were the majority. Now they constitute 10% of Egypt, okay? In Syria, there was huge Christians. Lebanon used to be a predominantly Christian country. Within my lifetime and yours, Lebanon went from being predominantly Christian to now being majority Muslim. Within our lifetime, not 500 years, What happened to the Iraqi Christians? Persia had a culture before Islam. Now it's become Islamic. So no ideology has conquered and colonized as much as Islam has. So if you're worried about the colonization of Zionism, then by any stretch of the imagination, if you're going to be logical, then you have to be worried and upset about the colonization of 56 countries.
Wow. Great point here by Gad Saad. Egypt had a full-on Coptic community in Egypt. Now they're almost eradicated. I think there's like 10% left, maybe even less. Same applies to the countries around Israel. Islam is here to prevail. Islam is here to dominate. Islam is here to control the world. And every time they accuse the Jews of doing so, it's a deflection. Because every accusation is a confession. And the people that accuse the Zionists and the Jews of trying to control the world are indeed the people following the ideology that tells them to control the world. That's in their Quran, not in my Bible.
That were once not Islamic, and in many cases they became Islamized through brute force. That's why there is the sword of Islam. It doesn't capture that we're going to cut bananas together. It captures that I put the sword to your neck, and when I conquer you, I give you choices, 3 choices: either convert, or die, or live as a dhimmi. Dhimmi means as a not even second-class citizen. You're a third-class citizen, right? So, for example, Jews and Christians have often been tolerated under Islamic law. So, for example, you hear about the golden period of Andalusia, right, which is in current Spain. All that means is that you are tolerated until you're not, right? But you're always walking a precarious high wire, right? On any given moment, you better put on your really fast running shoes and run really fast because your head's going to be detached. So we lived very nicely in Lebanon until we didn't, right? And that's the history of the entire region.
If you want to read more about jizya from the source, from the holy book of the Quran, you can look up Surah 929 that says specifically, fight those who don't believe in Allah nor the last day or believe in Muhammad, and pose jizya on them fight them until they pay the jizya. It's in the Quran. And jizya was usually imposed on kuffars or disbelievers, Jews and Christians. And you want to know how much the jizya was? It was so much that at some point, Islam even tried to stop people from converting because of the economic crisis that's going to be the outcome of people converting. Who is going to pay the high taxes? So they discouraged people from converting to Islam at some point. Of course, they continued converting people to Islam because of the financial risk that the caliphate experienced.
Now, Jews have existed in the Middle East for thousands of years before the word Islam ever came to be. So if we're going to use historical precedents, it's a game that the enemies of Judaism are going to lose. But here's what I propose. How about you teach your children that there could be people who live next to you? We can debate where we draw the line, but there is a group of people that have thousands of years of provenance to that land. By the way, Palestine, when you said Palestinians until recently, it referred to the indigenous Jews of that area called Palestine. Palestine, as you hear it today, is a concoction from the 1960s. There is no Palestinian people. They're Jordanian, they're Egyptian, right? There is no such thing as Palestine, other than it's a territory that has been mandated by different groups. A while back by the Ottomans, more recently British mandate, and so on.
I don't want to watch the whole video with you guys. I'll send the link. I'll attach the link down below so you can watch the full thing, so Impact Theory can benefit from it, of course. But great points by Gad Saad. And if the world doesn't open their eyes, it will be too late. United States will have Sharia law. Canada is on the verge of having Sharia law. The UK now is more brown than white than it used to be because of all the people moving from Pakistan and Syria and Lebanon and different Arab countries, posing their beliefs onto people that don't believe the same thing. And then the leaders of those places cover it up. and say Islam is a religion of peace. What are you talking about? And then we have 46,000 terror attacks in 70 countries since 9/11 by Muslims, specifically for promoting Islam. To kill the kuffars. Open your eyes. If you want, there's a really good book. It's called Muhammad's Quran. Okay, this is the book. Muhammad's Quran. It proves that Islam is not a religion of peace, that it's a religion of war. And it's got all the great points about the religion who's claiming to be the religion of peace. Great book. I'll attach the link down below so you can order it for yourself. Thank you so much for watching this video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you again next time. Bye-bye.